Hi YouTube, we're back with the ASW-28. I believe this is part 15. So we got these both glued on. I gotta apologize, the camera decided it was gonna stop recording when I paused it, which I didn't mean to do that to you guys. But what we've got is winglets attached now, very securely. And they look nice tight fit. For being foam, of course. And basically what we've got is I never did put those little keepers on, so I did a couple of those, and I said, well, I better just make sure I elaborate on this. I have this random piece here. I had the same random piece the first time I built this plane. I don't know why. They did give me 2 extra servo horn adapters, clevis adapters, whatever you want to call these things. And then I have 1 extra screw that would have been used for attaching the wing, the horizontal stabilizer, or the rudder and vertical stabilizer. But didn't need that, of course. And then I had 1 extra long screw, which would have been used for that. The problem is we don't need that, so I'm not sure what the deal was there. And it's been the same deal for a long time, so a little bit strange. Now I know we normally don't want to throw these controls permanently together before we've had a chance to test how everything works in flight, but this is one of those things that you do want to get your screws into. Now I want to show you something. You see that angle I'm at? That's a prime way to strip that screw, or not strip it. You have to push down at a weird angle and get it to bite, and then get it to start. Okay, so you see how this is, you got a relief here. We need more like 33 degrees, not 45 degrees. So what I'll do is I'll usually just either rub this, or I'll take and catch this with a torch until it melts, and I'll dig it through there. But if you try to put that in at the wrong angle, you'll probably screw up the servo and you'll have to replace it. So I want to warn you about that. It's not hard at all to do, but if you do it wrong, you'll know, because the thing won't tighten properly, and it can actually cause that horn to be misaligned as well. Because if there's one thing that's cheap on this plane, it's the servos. Which is a bummer, because it's a really good plane. It's kind of like that plane I reviewed here not too long ago from Hobby King, and it was a balsa wood plane. It's called the EZO 1500 millimeter. Had all Emax servos, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And it's actually a pretty good plane. I had a chance to take it out in some better weather, and I enjoyed flying it, but it's still not the same experience. This is way more fun. So, that being said, I also, I had a lot less time in it. But this one's got LEDs and everything already done, so you can see I had to do the same exact thing here, where you kind of put the screw at an angle so that you can slide it in right, and then as you torque it down, you're allowed to get the angles right. So we'll go ahead and, looks like I got 2 extra of these little rubber things as well. Now those things will occasionally split on you, so it's good that they gave some extra. Now I took this out, and we'll come back to that shortly, but I wanted to show you that I did end up taking that out. Now on this other wing, this will be like the finishing touches on the wings, of course. On this other wing, I'll show you how I get these things on. I find it easier to take this off than to take the other end off. And then I can slip this down. And that's a little bit easier. And you just kind of give it a couple of spins and force it up on there. And then I usually go about half to 3/4 of the way down. Just enough to keep that bite on the control. Okay. And then get this thing centrally located. and then just slip it on. And it's not going to be exactly perfect right now. You won't be able to get them perfect. And remember, we're going to try, I think we're going to try to fly this plane before we actually close up those gaps, which I don't know. I might regret that later. But I honestly don't know yet. If I come up with a really good intermediate solution, then I'll just do that instead. Okay, there we go. See how much play there was when I was doing that? That's how you can tell when you get a crappy servo. A plastic gear servo is not necessarily crappy, by the way. There's many plastic gear servos that are just fine. These just happen to be kind of crappy servos. It's probably one of the weakest parts of this plane. That being said, if you really wanted to upgrade them before you even go out flying, that's certainly not a horrible idea. I'm just not going to necessarily do that. I'll wait till one of them takes a dump on me. Now these ones I went the second hole in. Nothing magical about that. You can do whatever hole you want to start with, but I just didn't need as much deflection on the flap because I was only going the one direction. Okay, so we'll do this one more time. Take that screw and get it kind of aligned in the... Come on. Okay, now it's in the hole. So then you have to kind of almost push down really hard until it gets lined up straight. Once you're lined up straight, then you can twist. It is challenging to get those going the first time. Once they're in there for the first time, it is quite a bit easier because then you almost thread the hole, the plastic. Okay, so now that's all put together. Now it's just a matter of going ahead and covering up all these spots. Looking at the drawing, or the picture, those marks are on the tops of the wings. If somebody was motivated, you could put them on the bottom, but you get the servos. It does make it a lot harder to put those decals on the bottom. So we will go ahead and do like the manufacturer specified. I mean, the other thing too is it's just a preference thing. You can do whatever you want on that. We'll get the bottom detailed up here in a minute. Same like we did before, we'll go ahead and take a little alcohol and wipe down the surface before we make our bonds. Looks like they're on the inboard portion of the wing. Now one thing too I was going to tell you about these wings is my wings had some dings and scuffs. Now I was really disappointed about that, but let's just be real, guys. It's a foam glider. You're going to get dings and scuffs on them. There's no getting around that. If you would happen to get one without dings and scuffs and you want to try to keep it perfect, then what you can do is you can run a piece of packing tape and just hang over about a third of it, and you'll do the tops, and then you'll have to take and cut pieces for every time there's a transition in angles. Because like mine got a bunch of dings up here, and I didn't like that too much. But the thing is, it's going to get dinged up a little bit when you fly. So if you're hoping to maintain a more perfect finish, I don't want to discourage you because there are some things you can try, but generally speaking, it's going to get dinged up. You might as well just get ready for it. Okay, so it looks like the writing, this one's the TW one. This one's on the drawing or on the picture. They use the TW over here. So I'll go ahead and do that. It looks like we can just kind of put that mid-wing. Since these are asymmetrical, they're not the same, we can kind of do whatever we want there for positioning. So I'll just go like halfway out. I'm going to pull it tight in the middle. It's the symmetrical ones that are hard, because then you got to try to make them exactly the same. Like my little German flag and the ASW-28 that's on the middle of the tail boom. Now this stuff will also help to hide any imperfections. So if you do have an imperfection, you want to hide it, you could choose to put the decal over it, like I'm going to do. since we got done talking about that 30 seconds ago. That's a pretty good idea, me. So as you can see, these decals are really easy to do. Now I've got my wings pointed at each other, so I'll just go right in the middle. There is kind of a nasty ding here, so I'm going to centrally locate it. And just kind of try to get it to line up so that it looks like it's going down the length of the wing square. Now, I didn't have any problems at all with my old one, with the decals coming loose or anything like that. Some of these planes, though, in particular the Tower Hobbies one, I forget what the brand is right this second, but it's a smaller ASW-28. It's got a really ugly nose. It's this one right here. That one had just really crappy decals, and so I ended up redoing a lot of it. Well, plus I got this from my friend. He had crashed it to death, and it had some decals that would come off and buff it, and it sounded like the thing was farting. It was really awkward for everybody. So you want to avoid that. Alright, so flip this over. Make sure your winglets are out of the way. Okay. So now what we can do is we can see what we get provided for protection to cover up. Looks like we got a long straight one here. And we've got two of those. And then we have a long one with a bend for the servo. A long one with a bend for the servo. Okay, so this is where it gets tricky. Then there's a shorter one with a bend is what I need. There's a shorter one with a bend. Okay? So that one may go there. Or it would go here. Nope, that won't work. So this is why it's nice to have a drawing. Because it gets a little tricky to do this. I remember having the same problem the first time I did this on my other ASW-28. Okay. See how that's going to work, guys? So now I remember I got to go underneath these control arms. So really the easiest way is to stick the short thing through. And I forgot about that step too, guys. But what are you going to do? Put the decals on first and make it easy? Yeah, right. Then you're going to be peeling stuff up and it's just going to be way too easy. I have those 20,000 shims I use for about everything. Everything under the sun. And those would work really good for this too. This is some really sticky tape, just so you know. These decals. Son of a gun. Stick it to the tip of your blade. Walk the blade under. Okay? Walk it into position. Cover up as much of the servo as you think is reasonable. Stick it down. Now I'm going to do something that you guys might not do, and that is I'm not going to push it down at all yet. I'm just going to leave it in case I picked wrong, which would be a bummer. But you can also see like this one here has the square and then it wiggles down. I just don't know if that's the first one or the second one. This one here is definitely a second one, okay? So this one here this has got a wiggle in it and then it goes up. So the wiggle in it and then it goes up. So the wiggle in it and then goes up. That should make it only fit probably one position. See, what would stop this whole confusion is if they had a drawing to go with it. But I mean, they have a pretty good manual with this plane. Just can't believe they didn't do any sort of guidance on this step. Because, like, where would you expect that to go? It's not exactly obvious. Okay, so I got my knife ready to go so we can catch this and pull it underneath, because we'll probably have to do that again. Okay, so obviously it doesn't go that way. I think this one must go over here. See? There's our wiggle. Yes! Yes! Now in our case, we also have a little bit more hiding to do, because we have to hide our wires from the LEDs. Okay, I need to go a little bit further down. See if that gets it. Yes. Seems like we got it pretty close. Ooh. Now this is not going to be perfect. If you're expecting perfection, you have the wrong model. Just warning you, okay? Because look, I mean, you can see right through it. This is more of like an act of, it's completely out of pretense, because this is a build series that's got millions of parts. I don't want people to be upset with me for not covering this 475th step. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned it in this video yet. I probably have, considering I've had your ear for like 7 hours already. This plane is a project plane, so if you're getting it expecting to whip it out of the box and have it fly awesome, you'll be disappointed. So I wouldn't do that. But it's a good plane if you spend the time. Okay, so this one's rather long, so that must be the other long one that goes from here to there. Let's do it. And then, well, actually, hold on. Do we have... That one's just straight, and then this one is, yeah. Let's try this one first. I'm pretty sure it goes right there. And when this is all said and done, you'll be like, well, that was really obvious, Brian. I don't know why you had so much trouble. Wait till you do it. You guys will have the benefit of having watched me do it at least once. Learn from all my mistakes. I totally just picked up something. Why do X-Acto knives always fall off of the bench? It's like the first tool to fall, and it's the last tool I want to be on the ground right next to my toes. Alright, so the next one is going to be this one. Okay. That one definitely goes there. We know it now. And we're not out of decals yet. Don't worry, guys. Don't you fall again. Nope, way too far. Way too far. Dang it. Oh, buddy. I could be in trouble here. Oh, buddy. If you do that, it will stretch these things, so be careful. Yes. Got it that time. And by the way, these decals, they're not vinyl. They're very light, and they do work pretty decent everywhere except for where the black is, which is what you really want to cover up. Okay? And yes, this stuff will peel up. Just plan on it so you're not disappointed later. Alright, so as you can see, there's been a very minor improvement there, which is why I have the white tape here. Okay, so we have 1 and we have 2. Okay, those ones are supposed to cover this area. You know what I'm going to do? I am just going to lay this down and pretend like we did it, and come right back to it shortly. Because to be honest, it's not very effective, and so I'm not going to waste my time on that. So what we'll do instead is we'll come down here and we'll start the process of covering what needs to be covered yet, and there's not that much. Okay, so the first step I want to cover is I want to cover this run from there to here, and then I want to do a straight line. Now the straight line I'm going to do last because this piece will need to have the tail covered. Okay, so remember, this stuff has a tendency to stretch, so you'll want to overdo the length a little bit and let it relax back. You'll believe me, if you've ever done it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. And then I'm just going to, since I've got that nice little curl on there, I'll go ahead and drop that under. Oh, you son of a gun, you. Okay, just like that. And then I'll run this from there to there. It's very simple. It's not hard. It's not challenging at all. This is actually probably what I should have done in the first place. Just make sure you cover your whole wire. Okay. Yes. Yes. It was good. All right. Awesome. You see the difference? It's like opaque, and then this is clear-ish. It's not going to be that big a deal. Everybody will live, I hope. Okay, now we'll cut this, and then we'll trim it again. So we'll cut it so it's easy to manage. Then we'll trim it. Like I said, we'll trim it again. We'll do a 45-degree angle so it's easy to replicate that. And then we'll trim it again. And then we'll trim it a little bit more. And when I say so it's easy to replicate, I want to replicate it on the other side. We're going to get this complex cut done first, and then we'll be able to trim over here to mimic it. Okay. See what I just did there? That was pretty phenomenal, guys. I did make one cardinal mistake there, and that was I tried to pull it tight. Now this vinyl, it will relax over time. So if you don't have really high quality tape, you may find that it shrinks back a little bit. So don't stretch it. That was a mistake. Okay? Just lay it down. In fact, it's better if you can let it relax for a minute. Oh, look how good that looks, guys. Boy, on camera it looks way better than it does in person. Looks good, guys. Okay, so then this strip and that strip, we'll come back to that last, because like if I would run out of tape, I don't want to run out and leave this big ugly thing undone. Okay? Oh, I'm torn. I think we'll probably go ahead and do the length first, like we did on the last time. Okay, that's plenty long. Cut it, lay it down, and it really doesn't matter which side you feed through first. See how this stuff curls? That other stuff didn't curl very much, which is usually not a desirable trait when you're doing this sort of thing. Kind of is on this project, evidently. Ooh, I might have gone a little bit too short on this piece. I feel like I'm trying to stretch it. Yes! Perfect-ish. I don't know if that's such a thing, guys. Perfect-ish. It's either perfect or it's not. Okay. Now time for the weird angular cuts. Okay, we're going to cut like this. Then we're going to cut like that. Good enough. Evidently less is more. That was way easier. So like for me, that's my 4th time doing that. For you guys, it'll be your first, unless you built your own and you're just watching this for moral support. Which is fine. If you guys watch my videos for moral support, you know, like, or you're really wanting to take a nap and you've got insomnia, I'll take it however I can get it. Alright, so you see these servos, how they show through? If you're really concerned about that, this is how you address it. You just cut another piece of tape and you stick it on top, and then everybody's happy. Which I am going to do very reluctantly. I'm going to do that, yes, even before I do the aileron. Oh, that's so annoying when that tape gets on your fingers, isn't it? So annoying. So when we're done with this, guys, the next step for us, believe it or not, we're almost on to part 15 here. We're almost out of time. Our next step is going to be to insert the wings into the wing holes. And then we are going to wire everything up. It's going to be super awesome. I'm actually a little bit excited about that. It's only going to be mildly painful to do all that, because I remember the way it was the first time I did mine, but that was back when I was doing a 10-channel setup plus a stabilizer, so it was like 4 million wires. I mean, it was like the average length of my video series. That many wires, guys. It was crazy. So anyway, you'll notice that now you can't see the servos. And you know, that extra 30 seconds of time investment, it's not so bad until you start thinking of the number of people that watch this video, how many hours of pure productivity have been sucked from life by everybody watching me do this. The good news is you have a fast forward button. Okay, I'm going to do this the right way now. I'm going to tape from the bottom and then going forward so that the leading edge, you won't have as many peel points. Let's put it that way. That's a pretty easy way to explain it. Perfect-ish, again. All right, so we have everything taken care of on the bottom of the wing except for those strips. Now, we did have pretty good success with what we did on the horizontal stabilizer. I wonder if before I do that, maybe I should take and, yes, that's right, I'm sticking it back on the roll. That's how cheap I am. What we should do is we should cut this, except that stuff works like crap. The only reason that'd be good is because I could cut it. If you put a piece of tape down on here, you can cut it, and then you can get that thinner strip. It's not just about how much it costs for a roll of this stuff. Stuff's not free, obviously, but it's not like so expensive. I just don't want to waste it. Although wasting it would make it look a little bit more neat. So, alright guys, I am gonna, I don't know, that's a little too long. I'm gonna try this actually. I think I'm gonna try it over here. So let's, since these decals are gone, I got all this backing, right? So I'm gonna peel that back like this. I'm gonna stick this down, just like, you know, right there. And then I'm gonna take my scissors and I'm gonna cut it in half, just like so. Now I can cut it neatly, because otherwise if you try to rip this stuff down loose, good luck with that. It's not going to work. I've tried it many times. And then, oh wowzers, I think I found the new solution. That's the way to do it, guys. Perfect. And then peel that baby off that wax paper-ish backing, whatever it is. Pretty sure it's not wax paper. Oh, yes. Alright, guys, I would be punishing you to make you watch me do all the rest of these, so I'm going to pause it. Alright, guys, so I did all that. It actually went super smooth. You can see here I stripped all these pieces, and it was really easy. So I just applied them here. And that actually does help a little bit for weight, because that vinyl tape is quite a bit heavier than the decals. So as you can see, really the only thing left is whether or not we're going to do anything about this strange devoid in the middle of the control surfaces. And like I've been saying, I don't know that we're going to do anything right now. Well, I'm not necessarily going to do anything right now. But I think we probably at minimum want to do a piece of tape so we can control the aerodynamic effect. And when I say tape, I mean clear tape. So let me go grab some of that. Okay, so this tape is nothing special. It's just happens to be thick, and I like it for that reason. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it off long enough to where I can get done what I need to get done on one of the control surfaces. Then I'm going to hold my finger on it and trim it so that it doesn't fall down on itself, because that's always fun to deal with. And these are granite countertops, so it's easy to do that. So what I'll do is I'll just lay this right here, and we're going to have to test to see if this causes any binding. Okay, so I don't want to go crazy. I'm just going to do the one wing, and then we'll test it. Okay, and we'll come back and do the other wing if we like it. Now remember, the flaps only go down, but the ailerons also go up. So we'll just kind of press that down gently. Oh, dang it. That screwed up my plan. I'm going to try to do this without having any big fingerprints on it. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll not even worry about this yet. We'll just leave it. Okay? And then the same thing we'll do will be over here for the aileron surface. And you want to have maybe just a little bit more material on the wing than on the aileron. And again, we're not even going to mess with that. We're just going to leave it kind of loose. My guess is this is going to bind up. and we'll have to remove it anyway. So we'll pause it and we'll get the wing hooked up and test it. Okay, so not surprisingly, I went ahead and put it on there, and it really wants to pull hard. So what I'll have to do is design a different method for this. And I don't think it's really that big of a deal. It's just going to be a little different than I expected. And I even thought about doing something as simple as this, where I would literally just fold the tape over and just let that tape be the smooth threshold for the air to go across. Okay. Now obviously that tape is not going to work because it's not clean enough. But anyway, so for now we'll do our maiden without the full control surface area. And I don't know, maybe I'll leave this stuff on here. I haven't decided yet. But for now, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Oh, cool, look at the lights together. It's coming together. Got a little bit more follow-up, and I trust you guys will be part of it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Definitely check out the links below. Buy your very own. Help support our partners and our channel.